Marvel's Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Starring Clark Gregg, Ming-Na Wen, Chloe Bennett, Elizabeth Henstridge, Henry Simmons, Natalia Cordova-Buckley, Jeff Ward. Tonight's episode, A Trout in the Milk.
The team continues hopping through time with their new time-displaced team member along for the ride in the form of Agent Daniel Sousa. And this week, a very big screen story from Captain America the Winter Soldier is back to cause some problems once again. So just a quick spoiler warning here, because this video will of course contain spoilers for A Trout in the Milk, the latest episode of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. So the Chronicoms really made it clear last week that they were willing to change the rules to the game. And they certainly made good on that threat. I mean, a few of them stayed behind after the last jump to start manipulating the time stream, helping Hydra's secret rise to power to the point it has accelerated a full 40 years ahead of schedule. And this actually manifests in Wilfred Malik actually living past his original death in the OG timeline, and now he's actually working closely with S.H.I.E.L.D. to launch a new project, one that should be familiar to many MCU fans. So it turns out that the Chronicoms' play to beat S.H.I.E.L.D. is to complete Project Insight, which is the evil Hydra endgame from Captain America the Winter Soldier, ahead of schedule, then use it to go ahead and wipe out everyone they view as threats decades in the past. So, as fans likely remember, Project Insight was the targeted satellite system that really would have been mounted in helicarriers around the globe and used to pinpoint and take out threats from the air with killer accuracy. But instead of helicarriers, this version would have used some old school satellites because, of course, they didn't have the helicarriers back then. But, I mean, the same idea applies, and we actually even hear a few names on the proposed target list, including Bruce Banner, aka the Hulk, Nick Fury, along with Peggy Carter. So there's some really nice references and, connections there as well. But this is really, this whole episode is really a great callback to the film universe, and it's truly an organic one. I mean, if the Chronicoms really want to help Hydra stamp out S.H.I.E.L.D., what better way than accelerating their eventual plan as laid out in the films? I mean, even though S.H.I.E.L.D. makes it in time to stop the launch, the Chronicoms have a contingency plan, so they take Mac's parents hostage in the facility so that he won't end up destroying it. And it actually ends up working, and Mac instead opts to reveal their location in the Zephyr and shoot the Insight satellite down after launch. So the launch is stopped, but now the team has exposed their location to the Chronicoms, so but in this episode, Sousa is surprisingly cool adjusting to his death type thing that kind of happened. And also, being flung through the time stream. But he's still a bit bitter about the life he's missing and all the years lost as they continue to jump. But he gets to team up with Daisy and go on missions in this episode until they're eventually captured by Malik's younger adult son, which is Nathaniel Malik, I think. And also, it sounds like he wants to dig up a few other Hydra relics to try and surgically steal Daisy's inhuman abilities, so that definitely sounds interesting, and I'm excited to see where that goes in the next episode. But one of the best parts about this episode is that Enoch is back, though something seems to be up with him. He shows up to save the day, but definitely gets a bit shady when helping Simmons deal with a throbbing red device in her neck. So are the Chronicoms tracking Simmons? Is she a Chronicom herself, which has been long theorized basically since the season started, and I've talked about it a few times in my videos here. But what does Enoch know about all of this? So there's so many questions here. Also, I mean, Fitz is still MIA. We're really missing his character in this season, and I know he's going to show up at some point, but I wish he would just be here the whole time. But maybe he has something to do with Simmons and the red device in her neck. I don't know. Maybe he knows about it. But I don't know. It's just really confusing. But Simmons could be a Chronicom. We'll just have to wait and see, though, how this turns out here. Also, the throwback intros continue, as you've probably seen in this video. I've really taken advantage of that. And this time it's really a cast call out straight from the 1970s. I mean, these have been a real treat this season, and I can't wait to see where it heads next with these different intros and title sequences for each time period that we've been getting in this season. But after opting not to pull the trigger a few decades earlier, Deke doesn't hesitate when they confront Wilfred Malik in the 1970s. Because while Malik is giving his bad guy speech that, happens with every single bad guy in every single story, Deke literally just shoots him in cold blood. I mean, he makes the point that, yeah, he's supposed to be dead anyway in the OG timeline, so, it's fine. But still, I mean, it's a shocking moment from a guy who usually shies away from that type of violence. In this episode, another thing I really liked seeing was that Coulson and May get a chance to rock some old school S.H.I.E.L.D. uniforms, really based on how they looked in the comics. And I mean, like, the classic comics, like back when Stan Lee was writing these comics and creating these characters. They were basically wearing the same uniform that, like, Nick Fury would have worn in the OG comics, when Nick Fury was white. But when this plan goes sideways, with Coulson and May sent out there on the mission, Mac aborts and they're left holding the bag, and then they actually end up getting captured by S.H.I.E.L.D. forces on the ground. So that is another cliffhanger that we'll have to wait and see how that wraps up in the next episode. But also, Patrick Warburton's General Rick Stoner returns in this episode, and it's really a fun nod to Warburton's general, who fans should recognize from those S.H.I.E.L.D. instructional videos in the lighthouse a while back. And he is back in person in the 1970s, helping run the ultra early version of Project Insight. So it was really nice to see him in this episode. I don't know if we'll see him again. If we do, it'll probably be in the next episode. But yeah, there was a lot of cliffhangers in this episode, and I'm excited to see where it goes in the next episode. And I just really like the show. This has been a really great season. Definitely one of the best seasons. It's like right up there with Season 4. Like Season 4 and Season 7 I think are going to be the best seasons by the end of this series. But anyways, guys, what did you think about this episode? Please let me know all your thoughts and theories down in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, please drop a like and hit the subscribe button so I can keep you up to date on everything that goes on in the Marvel life.